Last seen at 9:14 p.m., 2 blocks from home, Erin Valdez walked under a light rain with her hood up and a canvas tote on her left shoulder. A security camera on Cedar Street missed exactly 30 seconds. In that half-minute, Erin disappeared. Tonight we rebuild the final hour, test 2 alibis, and ask one question: who already knew about that gap? Erin is 27. The city is Lakewood, a commuter town with 2 main roads, small storefronts, and more cameras than you'd expect for a quiet place. Names and locations are changed, but the pattern is not. On an October evening, she left a co-worker's birthday at a cafe on Maple. The walk home was 0.6 of a mile, 12 minutes at an easy pace. She texted, "On my way," at 9:02 p.m. That is the last message anyone received from her phone. The weather that night was soft and persistent, the kind that fills gutters but doesn't clear the streets. Erin preferred to walk. She'd cut down Maple, cross to Cedar, and angle to Pine. She did this route often, enough that you could trace it by memory. The corner deli with the buzzing sign, the vacant storefront with papered windows, the run of townhouses with identical stoops, and a single maple tree that never seemed to turn fully red. At 9:08, a doorbell cam on Maple caught Erin passing with her head down, adjusting the tote strap. At 9:12, the deli camera showed her waiting at the crosswalk, glancing left, then forward, then stepping off. At 9:13 and 36 seconds, the Cedar and Fifth camera picked up her profile for a breathless moment. Hood, damp sleeves, and the outline of a keychain swinging from the tote. At 9:14 and 2 seconds, she passed the vacant storefront. Then, the feed cut out. When the camera returned at 9:14 and 32 seconds, the frame was empty. No Erin walking out of view. No one entering from the other side. Just wet concrete shining under a streetlight. Earlier that week, according to incident log 17-1021, the same camera had rebooted after a power flicker. The city marked it as stable. Cameras fail, servers hiccup, but rarely do they fail in the 30 seconds that matter most. We tried to match the gap to Erin's pace. At a normal walk, she would cover half a block in 30 seconds. That is the space where she could have stopped, turned, stepped into a doorway, or been coaxed to the curb. The distance is small enough that a single decision fills it completely. At 9:16, Erin's phone changed its behavior. Background services went quiet, like airplane mode, or a SIM pulled partway out. The motion sensor still counted steps for about a minute. Then even that stopped. 2 blocks south of the gap, at 9:17 and 10 seconds, a dark sedan rolled from the curb with its headlights off, took the corner, then flicked the lights on as it accelerated away. 1 minute later, at 9:18 and 21 seconds, a gas station receipt printed 3 miles down the road. The last 4 digits of the card matched Erin's visa. At highway speed, the distance is possible. On city streets in the rain, it's tight. For a pedestrian, it's impossible. Witnesses help only if we anchor them to the clock. A neighbor named Alcott heard a car door at about 9:15. He described the sound as rain on metal, a single slam, not 2. He didn't look out the window because the neighborhood is usually noisy, and that night felt strangely still. A dog walker named Kiana passed Cedar and 3rd at 9:16. She remembered a sedan idling with fogged-over glass. She didn't see a silhouette in the driver's seat, but she felt watched. The cashier at the gas station recalled a damp card handed across the counter and a hood pulled low. No clear face, no small talk. Just the beep of a failed contactless attempt and the hiss of a mag stripe swipe. Memory bends. We favor receipts, camera metadata, and phone logs. When those agree, we lean in. When they fight, we mark the conflict and look for something that doesn't pick sides. The digital trail is never as clean as we hope, but it never lies. At 9:16, Erin's phone stopped pushing and pulling small packets of data, as if a switch were thrown. It still registered a few steps until roughly 9:17, then motion ceased. At 9:18 and 21 seconds, the card paid for fuel. The register attempted contactless first, failed, then accepted a swipe. At 9:18 and 40, a city bus turned onto Cedar. Its dash cam captured a dark sedan ahead, but the lens smeared with rain and the plate was unreadable. The body shape and taillight pattern suggested a common model. At 10:02 p.m., An ATM downtown spit out 3 failed PIN attempts. No cash. The camera showed only a forearm and a dark rain-spotted sleeve, angled so the face never entered frame. Whoever used Erin's card knew the card, but not the PIN. That sounds obvious, but it narrows motive lines. If you know someone well, you might know the number. If you don't, you try anyway, and fail. If you're under stress, your choices get blunt. Use the card where it's fast, or abandon it quickly. We looked at the 2 people whose names came up most often. We'll call the first Daniel Hart, Erin's ex. He lived a short drive from the cafe. His alibi placed him at a sports bar from 8:30 to 10:10. Receipts showed 2 beers, one at 8:47 and another at 9:26. Interior cameras caught him at 8:49, 9:03, and 9:28. A 15-minute blind zone appeared when the bar aimed a camera toward the kitchen to restock the line. His phone joined the bar's Wi-Fi at 10:06 when he paid. Before that, it stayed on LTE, hopping towers in a pattern that matched a device at rest inside the bar. On paper, Daniel looked grounded. 3 details sharpened the outline. The sedan shape in the bus footage matched his car's body style and taillight arc. When officers spoke with him voluntarily around 10:35, the passenger seat of his car was dry and the driver's floor mat damp. He said he'd brushed off water at the door and didn't give rides that night. Later, a geo-fence warrant around the gas station cell cluster showed a single phone passing through at 9:18, neither Daniel's nor Erin's. A third device, silent before and silent after. Nothing in that set breaks Daniel's alibi. It bends it, enough to keep him inside the frame, not enough to lock him there. The second person is Mia Park, a coworker and friend who left the party 5 minutes before Erin. They sometimes shared rides on rainy nights, a habit they nicknamed their umbrella rule. Mia said she went straight home along Pine. Her building camera showed her arrival at 9:19 with a grocery bag in hand. There were no evening rideshare charges on her account and no transit card taps after work. Her phone entered Do Not Disturb at 9:21. She claimed it was scheduled. A weak ping placed her phone somewhere along a tower that covers Cedar around 9:10. That's a wide circle. It could intersect with Erin's path. It could also be the kind of ambiguity that haunts every case that doesn't draw in a straight line. If you're hoping for a miracle clip, there isn't one. Instead, there is the silence left by a camera that rebooted at the worst possible time, a single car door heard by someone who didn't get up to look, and a credit card receipt printed too far away to match a person on foot. The space in between is where most cases either collapse or congeal, so we return to the 30 seconds. At 9:14 and 2 seconds, Erin stepped past the vacant storefront. The frame froze, then went black. When the camera returned, the pavement was empty. The Deli camera 1 block north kept recording and showed no one pacing behind her. The bus camera caught a sedan leaving Cedar after the fact. Within 1 minute, a car 2 blocks south rolled away without headlights. Within 2 minutes, a credit card paid for fuel 3 miles down the road. What can happen in half a minute? More than you think, less than you fear. Erin could have been coaxed to the curb by someone already in the driver's seat, someone whose voice she recognized enough to lean down and listen through the open window. That gives you 1 door slam. She could have stepped into a recessed doorway to avoid the rain, meeting someone waiting just out of view. She could have seen a familiar face and approached voluntarily, intending to refuse a ride and ending up standing too close to a moving plan. The neighbor's single slam memory leans toward a driver who never left the car. The headlights off-roll leans toward someone who didn't want to be seen until the corner. The fast card use leans toward a person who wanted to know if a wallet was useful before discarding it. These are lines, not conclusions. But lines make grids. Grids help you find the square where things actually happened. Why does the camera failure feel so personal? Because you don't plan for a reboot. You plan for the angle. The vacant storefront was the only spot on that block where the camera's line of sight broke at the edge of the windows. You didn't need a power flicker to beat it, just a body between the lens and the subject. But that night, the system handed someone half a minute for free. It's not proof of intent, it's proof of timing. The gas station's receipt time matched the register server's log. The bank confirmed the authorization stream in the same minute. The bus's dashcam time was GPS synced, and therefore more reliable than the Deli's mechanical clock. The city's camera ticket from earlier in the week existed, closed as stable, and that's how most ticket systems work. A green light until it isn't. We mention these not to bury you in paperwork, but to deserve your attention when we say that the only things that truly contradict are the ones we would expect to contradict if someone had a plan. There is a temptation to make Daniel either the answer or a scapegoat. His body language at the bar, the damp floor mat, the shape of a sedan that could be his and could be a dozen others. But an alibi that bends isn't the same as one that breaks. There is a temptation to grant Mia a halo because she is organized, because cameras show her arriving home when she says she did, because she and Erin had a rule they didn't use that night. But proximity, even soft proximity, isn't guilt. The hardest thing is to hold an empty square on the board and call it what it is: unproven. If we were building theories, we'd stop at two. The first is opportunity plus familiarity. A known driver plays the edge of a blind angle, calls Erin by name, and opens the passenger window. She leans, listens, hesitates, and a single door closes. The car moves south with its lights off for half a block, then on. A card is tested quickly to see if it will buy gas. An ATM is tried later, 3 wrong pins in a row, and abandoned. The second theory uses 2 people. One waits near the recessed doorway where a roofline hides you from the lens. Another handles the car and the card, placing a false trail while the first person controls the scene. The damp card at the gas station makes sense in either version. The third phone at the tower by the gas station is harder. If it's real, it belongs to someone who didn't want to be known that night, a device that woke only for a minute, then went dark again. What's missing is cruelly simple. A plate, an angle that shows the curb, a conversation caught on a pocket dial, a scheduled meeting in a thread no one thought to check, a digital shadow that someone forgot to erase. What remains is a timeline that fits inside a single breath, and a set of facts that hold their shape no matter how you rotate them. We'll keep the reference touches light. The incident log that mentioned the earlier reboot exists in the record. The register server logs that match the receipt time exist. The standard note that bus dash cams sync to GPS is something most transit agencies put in their procurement specs. These are the small pegs we tie red string to, not decorations, anchors. If you walked Cedar today, you would see how ordinary it looks. A boarded window, an old Deli sign, a crosswalk with scuffed paint, and a camera that, on most days, works. You would wonder how 30 seconds could swallow a person. The answer is that it doesn't. People swallow plans. Plans swallow streets. Streets swallow the sound of rain on a car door, in a way that makes a neighbor decide to stay in his chair. There is one more detail that doesn't prove anything but changes how this feels. On quiet nights in Lakewood, you can hear a bus a block away. If you are sitting in a car with the engine off and your headlights off, you will turn them on just after the corner, when the noise is loud enough to hide the click. If you are hurrying and you want to know whether the card in your pocket will buy you time later, you will test it fast at the nearest station that spits out a receipt without asking questions. These are not cinematic decisions. They are the kind people make when they are solving for the next 10 minutes, not the next 10 days. We'll put a short timeline in the description and a few links for those 3 references, not to weigh the story down, but to give you handholds. We'll feature your theories in a follow-up, because there is always a possibility someone remembers a detail differently after they hear how all the other pieces sit together. Did the neighbor hear one door because the other was already closed? Did the dog walker miss the driver's silhouette because the seat was reclined? Did the person at the ATM stand slightly sideways on purpose, or because people do strange things when they know a camera is there? If this is your first time here, we keep the tone calm and the case is clean. No gore, no invented drama. We build from the ground the way you build a case file. Date, time, place, witness, document, contradiction, and a reason to keep watching that isn't just fear. Tonight, the reason is a half minute of missing tape and the way the city quietly admits that technology fails. Watch the short we cut from this case if you want the moment that breaks the rhythm. The cash register beep at 9:18 and a receipt that shouldn't exist. Then come back and sit with the long version, because cases don't get solved by jolts. They get solved by ordinary things that start to look out of place when you line them up. Comment with the piece that won't let you go. The one slammed door, the headlights that waited, the third phone that only breathed for a minute. Tell us which theory holds for you and why. We'll read everyone. And if you were out on Cedar that night, at any time, and you remember the sky not just as rain but as a particular color of wet streetlight, write that down too. Someone else might remember the rest.